footing product, and Auto Sport base mats. Mats absorb up to 40% of the concussion. Protex provides maximum stability. Premier Equestrian is the official footing partner of Major League Show Jumping. Contact us about your arena at premierequestrian.com.
And good evening. Welcome to a great event. We are in for an amazing evening of competition. 36 horse rider combinations. If you do happen to have an order of go, starting order number 18, Costalissimo, Nikki Galligan, they are a scratch. So we have 36 in the Major League Show Jumping $230,000 FEI 5-star Grand Prix this afternoon, this evening. Sponsored by Adequan, kind of presented by Essence Art Gallery. For 30 years, Adequan has been used by veterinarians, trainers, and horse owners. Ask your veterinarian if Adequan is the right choice for your horse. And you can visit them online, www.adequan.com, to learn more. Adequan, start with it, stay with it. And our Grand Prix kind of presented by Essence Art Gallery.
The sport of show jumping is pretty simple. It's all about the fours. The first of those you need to know is when they have a fence down. That equals 4 faults. The second 4 comes into play is if a horse has a refusal or a run out, basically doesn't jump the fence they intend. That again incurs 4 faults. If a rider and horse have a second stop on course or a run out, unfortunately you will hear the bell go and that will mean elimination. The aim of the game is very simply to finish with a 0 score. In the case of many of the classes, like the Grand Prix that you're going to see today, it is about getting through the first round with a 0 score. But there's another factor. Time is the other factor that comes into play. A time allowed exists, and this is based on the distance of the horse and the speed you're supposed to ride at. So, say the time allowed is then calculated at 72 seconds. If they go over that time allowed, it's 1 time fault for every 4 seconds commenced on the clock. So, it's very simple. You have to jump all of the fences cleanly and stay inside the time. So how does it work after round 1? Well, very simply, all of those with a clear round go into the jump off. This is over a shortened course, using part of the track from round 1. So it might use fences 1, 3, 7, whichever way the course designer decides. But essentially it puts the emphasis on speed, and it's going to be a lot tighter turns in this one generally as well. The winner, well, very simply, the one that takes home the biggest share of the prize money, the one that lifts the trophy, is the quickest and highly likely clear around that track.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and a home of the brave?
And a very good evening and welcome, set to go into the Adequan Grand Prix here tonight. Five-star Grand Prix presented by Essence Art Gallery. And we've got a lot to look forward here. 37 in all coming forward in the first round of this $230,000 class. Time allowed of 81 seconds for those featuring in this class here today. And our course designer, Alan Wade of Ireland, a man who's built World Cups around the world, the World Cup finals, and also the World Equestrian Games in 2018 as well, accompanied by a strong list of supporting assistants as well, with top-class experience there too, and setting up for an exciting evening of sport here on this Saturday of the second week here at the Desert Horse Park. Mavis Spencer going to be the first of our riders. Carlos BH for the Rocking D Ranch. First time into the five-star Grand Prix for Mavis. And for her, big moment to go as our leading off rider. The Californian-based rider, of course, hails from here originally, has competed all over the world, worked in Europe as well, and now gets to step up with this 12-year-old by Namalasa, owned by Ken Dickey. As I say, be interesting to see how the time allowed comes into play here. Alongside me is Australian Olympian, three-time Olympian, Matt Williams, who's here in California these days, based here riding for Interactive Mortgages, amongst others. And it's good to see you here. But you've walked the course, Matt. It's an interesting one here for them to take on, and Mavis gets the dubious job of being the pathfinder. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, has worked her way through and worked for different dealers through and for producers, and now out on her own. Started her career in acting. In fact, her mother, who's a well-known actress, coming here to watch tonight. But here we go into the triple combination. Just trips that one. That was a fantastic round. It is 5:84.85, Mavis Spencer and Carlos BH, and gets a roar from the crowd. But you know, Matt, from her, I mean, that she's going to be delighted with that start. Absolutely. So, well, we see how that comes out in terms of time, 84.35, time allowed of 81 seconds. Got a few first-timers coming into this. This is not one of them. This is another rider who's got 3 Olympic Games behind him as well. It's Juan Carlos Garcia and Captain Jack for the Poden Farms, 12-year-old by De Sanat. Rides internationally for Italy these days, and before that for Colombia. And also based out here in California as well, riding for the Neil Jones team. And let's talk through some of this, Matt, in terms of numbers. Pretty big vertical coming up early on there, and then this Oxford to the butterfly fence. But I know Locke talked about the wall, but you said it rides a little bit more nicely here, coming in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, the first line, you've got a 9-stride distance up to the second fence, and then a little bit of an open distance to number 4 on 8 strides, and then the steady 4 after fence 4. It's setting you up nicely for this line down the middle. You can come around to the wall, let them jump it. Nice 5 strides to the double that's jumping very well. This major league fence has sort of played a big part of the whole season. It's been a bit of a bogey fence. But so far it's jumping lovely.
Well, Juan Carlos just on the 4 faults at the moment. And this is where David Spencer just having that 1 fence down in this triple combination. Alan using the triple combinations here to good effect. Big vertical at the Cabana Coast coming into the final few. And then this final fence, plain fence in terms of colour, just the plain wood on there, just on the 4 faults, 82.03. So he's just going to trip over for 1 for time there as well. And leaves him on a score of 5 there for Juan Carlos Garcia and Captain Jack. Not so easy out there, and but just dropping again the 1 pole, so it's 5 from both of those as our first couple out of the starting blocks.
Yeah, I think he's going to be happy with this horse. It's sort of a very new ride to him, and it just looks to be getting better and better every time he sits on it. He's a real horseman, and it's only a matter of time before he's jumping clear in this class.
Another one coming into his first major Grand Prix is the young talent of Charlie Jones, riding for Lindsay Maxwell. And the British rider riding for the US owners, Gerko III. And Charlie here riding a part of his first 5-star competitions here this week. His parents here watching as well, Michael and Alison, are both accomplished riders themselves back in Great Britain. His mum rode on a European Championship team. And for him, it's been a new set of horses for him, making the move from Great Britain out here to California. And getting onto this horse that was ridden also by Laura Crouch, a part of that whole setup together. And for him, again, another big moment as the family head out to watch him this week here in the Desert Horse Park. Early rail coming there at the Birch Vertical.
Yeah, the 4 strides just looked like it got a little short on him there, and then at the wall the horse just jumped over his shoulder a little bit. This is a horse that actually his uncle Nick has a lot to do with. He rode the father Arco. A lot of you would remember him from Athens Olympics. It's a very similar horse, maybe a little bit smaller model, but you can see a lot of similarities in this horse.
Exactly. His nephew, well, his uncle is Nick Skelton, as you say, and he's certainly got it in the genes to be a top-class rider.
I think he's another one jumping his first 5-star Grand Prix tonight, if I'm not wrong, and making a great job of it. Just those 2 fences there in the beginning and really holding it together.
Again, very good platform for him. Jumps the last, just going to finish on the 8. Gets inside the time allowed at 78.76. And on the 8 faults there for Charlie Jones. And Gerko, again for him, 22 years of age. But, Matt, from that point of view, it's a good platform for a rider like that to get this opportunity here.
Absolutely. And what he's done, he's come out and he's put down a great round well inside the time allowed, which after the first 2 riders, the judges would be sort of wondering if they're going to change the time. And I would think watching the first couple riders now, I'd be surprised if they change it.
For you, thoughts on how the course has ridden so far?
I think it's riding lovely. It's a little bit backwards, some of the lines, but it's a delicate course. Alan's just a magician when he builds these courses. You walk them and you never know how it's going to ride, but he'll have a fault at every fence out here, and there won't be a fence that traps anyone. It's just you know, you have to think the whole way around, and that's what he's done here tonight.
Absolute art. As we go on to Surrey Gordon, Solanke and Azuro 108 for the Tomboy Farms. Again, here of California, rides internationally for Israel. And again, you know, he's got a very good field, as you say, some of them walking into their first 5 stars, and then experienced riders like McLean Ward and those coming on along later on. So he's actually producing a superb track for all to take this on. But I mean, this horse is really jumping.
Yeah, I mean, it's these lights, you know, once the horses have got a bit of experience under them, the horses, once they're brave enough under lights, they get more scope. They start to be more impressed by the jumps. And the ground that the show has put us with here is incredible. The job they've done with this facility is second to none. I mean, they've really put a lot of time and effort and money into building this show up to be what it is today.
Well, sorry, still on the clear at the moment. That fence there that you and I were walking the course just had a look at, it's a narrowed up oxer there. And as you said to me walking around, it looks a little bit like a vertical coming down to it.
Yeah, because it's not so wide, you don't really get to see the back rail of that purple oxer on your way to it. So it rides almost like a vertical.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this round, just coming a little undone in the last 3 fences, the horse just got a little, once it had one fence down, maybe lost its concentration. But up until then, it was a beautiful round.
Well, just leaving them on the 12, you say those fences coming in the latter part of the course for Surrey Gordon, Solanke and Azuro 108. But again, you know, Matt, from this point of view, another tool that Alan Wade has used, it's a long track, it's 14 fences.
Yeah, it's a long track, and it's also, you know, when you ride a track this long, quite often the distances will be a little bit more forward, and this is a track where you're also putting the horse on their back foot in some of the lines, so it's a long track of concentrating as well. It's not over until you've jumped that last fence. And, you know, the steady 5 to the vertical before the last fence, sort of, it can also trap you into being out on 8 strides to there. A few riders have talked about doing 8. I'll be interested to see if anyone does.
And again, talking about playing with the numbers and the lines there, down to that triple bar as well. From 9 to 10, there was some talk of 7, some talk of 8. Some are going to play around with that a little bit. Yeah,
and I think now seeing how well the 4 strides rides after the triple bar, I think the 7's just a given number. You know, it's almost a free jump there. You can float onto the 7. If you do 8 strides there, your time allowed could get a little questionable.
Well, on course now is Erin Davis Heineken and Leone, Grand Prix winners previously in Florida, being a lovely combination, developed well together. Jumped a few of these bigger Grand Prix now, and nice established pairing together for the rider from Fort Worth in Texas.
Yeah, and they've got a show there next week. They're running their 4-Star World Cup, which is the first time, and I think that it's going to be a great new add to the World Cup scene over here, and I'll go there myself, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're heading there. You were jumping in the 5 stars here last week as well, and again, seeing how this is a nice partnership that's really been established now over a couple of seasons. It does make that difference, just getting the hand into the glove, isn't it, and just getting set as a gel.
Absolutely, and this major league concept is really, you know, for a lot of the younger riders or new partnerships, you see these horses at the end of the season now, and they're just doing this so easy. Because they've got this exposure to 5-star shows, and it's something that was lacking the consistent 5-star shows in America, and now there we go with our first clear, but a time fault, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It's just going to be the one time fault there, 82.59. Erin Davis Heineken and Leone. Lovely round from them, but just sneaking that one time from them. And it'll look here, Matt, on that final line. But again, you know, down to the last fence again, you just got to keep that concentration. It's a danger. You can just lose a little bit of time on the end there.
Yeah, and he's just got enough rollback turns. Like you want to set yourself up back to the triple, and I think she lost a little bit of time there also.
Yeah.
To make up the time, I would say between the first 6 fences is where you can really get on a rhythm.
Yeah.
He's given you that part of your course, and then you have to really start to get your horse back after the double, and that's where you've got to be careful. I think your time allowed needs to be, you need to get that sorted at the first 4 or 5 fences.
I know you're going to be heading out to go and give a little bit of help to Rowan Willis a little bit later on. What, have you two discussed this yet, or are you going to go now and have a final discussion before you head in?
Oh, well, anyone that knows Rowan knows that he's very laid back, so he was a little bit late for the course walk, as Rowan can be. But we had a little school this morning with his horse, and it's looking great. It's a new horse to him. It actually was bred by the Billy Stud.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how it goes tonight.
Well, another rider coming into their first 5-star Grand Prix as part of Major League. We're jumping on the World Cup circuit here in the last few weeks. Of course, 2 World Cups in recent times here on the West Coast in Sacramento and then in Las Vegas as well, with Ali Leopold Moreno and Valentino Du Soleil, 12-year-old for the Odyssey LLC.
Yeah, this horse I got to see in Tryon jumping under the lights in the summer, and it was very impressive there. It's got all the jump in the world, can be a little bit inclined to get a time fold every now and then, but this is great experience for her, and for sure the rest of the winter being able to start it like this in a 5-star, it only fills you with confidence before going out. Now we'll have a bit of a break and then regroup, and you know, it's a good thing for her.
I mean, you've been there and done it, Olympic Games, World Championships, etc. It's a stairway all the time to get to those and get used to that level, and I don't suppose you ever get used to that level.
Well, I mean, it is. It's like that. I mean, last week was my first 5-star Grand Prix in 5 years. And you still walk the course and you think, well, you know, it's a big track and you question yourself. But once you've done a few of them, you know, and you get back into your rhythm, then it comes a lot easier.
Well, just it's going to be a total of 10 there, a couple per time there as well, 85.73. Total of 10 there for Ali Leopold Moreno and Valentino Du Soleil. Last week's winner of the Grand Prix, different ride on that occasion, Alanine last week, and returning this week with kayak for the HF Farms LLC is Cassio Rivetti of Brazil, another veteran of Olympic Games as well. On the Belgian-bred 11-year-old by Thunder van der Zoethoven. But, I mean, watching his round last week and his winning round in the jump-off, it was, again, just a whole touch of class.
Yeah, I mean, he had, you know, he had to go first in the jump-off, and you might have thought, okay, well, you know, that's not a great position to go in, but he just went out there and laid down enough that the rest of them either made mistakes or couldn't catch him, and you know, it was a great thing for California to have a Californian-based rider come out and win that first 5-star Grand Prix.
Absolutely. So, Cassio Rivetti looking to back that up here. Kayak was jumping in the, if you like, the shoulder classes last week. It was Alanine Devan that took on to the Grand Prix. And it's a fairly new ride for him this year as well, just jumping into the international classes with this horse literally into November.
Yeah, I saw him with this horse at Ali Nilfarushan's show in Temecula. He was just sort of getting to know it there in the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It just looks like the horse tonight's just not quite with him. It's fighting a little bit on the mouth there. Cassio's just slowed down a little bit, and you know, this is a place where he can breathe now. He's had 2 down. He can make a positive result for the horse now and finish the course nicely and without having to chase the time.
And that's the thing. It's getting good experience under the former ride of Juan Manuel Gallego of Colombia, and for him, as you say, getting into that ring. And again, you don't get to go under the lights here that often. But the good thing is, with this new facility and the way this has been done now, you'll get to go more often.
Yeah, I mean, this week the big class has been under the lights every night, and they had their Sunshine Series a couple of weeks ago where they had a lot of night jumping. But it is a new thing to this California circuit.
Cassio on the 12 at the moment. Again, we've seen 1 or 2 just struggling with the time, though. An 81.46, he's just a little bit over. But again, from his point of view, he eased off a little bit there. He was thinking about the jump and how it was going to finish.
Yeah, you could see him as he turned back to the wall. He just took a breath, and you know, he gave the horse a ride for experience, and the horse finished great. It was a unlucky fault in the triple, but I think all in all, that horse is going to come out of this really positive. You know, he had a different horse last week, which he won on, but, you know, we can't use the same horse every week.
Yeah, you've got to build the next ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, it is just the one-time fault for Aaron Davis Heineken so far, just on the 1 with Leone. Juan Carlos Garcia, second best of there, as is Mavis Spencer, both on the 5, but just separated by their time at the moment. Time is certainly having an effect. And Laura Height now another of the native Californians here, who has also, well, actually gone very well in the recent World Cup qualifiers, finished third in Las Vegas back in the latter part of November, top 3 in that World Cup qualifier there, and some solid results all the way through here in Thermal as well. 13-year-old, again for the HF Farms.
Yeah, and Laura, she trains actually with Casio.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been the easiest warm-up with your trainer jumping the fence next to you. But she had a great win at a Grand Prix in Blenheim this year. It was a metre 50,
Yeah.
a final $100,000 Grand Prix. And she just laid it down and really nailed it and won that class. And she's doing a lovely job tonight. I don't think she has a lot of experience on this level, but she's definitely got, you know, a great basis for it. She's had some great 4-star results, and unfortunately the rail there didn't really, it was a bit unlucky.
Triple bar, and then again, as you say, just got to see how you tackle the purple and white fence the next. This triple combination, how did that walk for you?
I mean, it walks, you have to ride the first part of it like a double of verticals, and then you need leg out. If you ride in thinking about the back rail of C, you're going to have B. It gets a little bit short. So you need an experienced horse for that combination. It's not overly big, but it's delicate, so you need a horse that's listening to your aids.
So you're sort of essentially saying you mentally break it up.
Yeah, you ride the first part of the triple so you can get in there, give yourself a little bit of space on B, so that then you can get your leg on over C. As you've seen, both B and C have come down a few times now. B got a little bit short for some people, and then the people that got B good ended up running into the back rail of C. So it's a rider fence, that. It's not a fence that you can just canter into and ride like a gymnastic. It's a fence you have to help them a little bit.
Okay, so it is coming up to Mark Bloomer next, and El Conde, and the Colombian, who's had a very good run here as well as part of the Major League shows in the last week or so here. And for Mark, a very good run with this horse as well on the turf at Greenwich at the horse show there in October as well. But Mark, based here in the US, the Blumen family, of course, well established here in the US now, between cousins, brothers, all a big supporting team there. And El Conde was 8th in the National Horse Show Grand Prix in the World Cup qualifier there. So he's getting a little more used to this level.
This is a horse that is owned by Gerardo Pascal, and Gerardo normally rides it himself. He's out with an injury at the moment, and Marky's sort of been doing a bit of catch riding on it every now and then, and every time he gets on it, he wins.
Well, I've got to say, he's had wins and he's had nothing outside of top 10. It's been very, very solid all the way.
Yeah, this is a fantastic horse. I was lucky enough to see it a lot in Mexico when I was living there, and I mean, it's just one of them horses that he has his own way, but he's a fighter, and when he gets in the jump off, there's not many quicker.
And again, you can see the difference here. He's attacking this with confidence.
Yeah, he's riding it like a seasoned horse that he's had forever, you know, and jumped through that easy.
His time-wise, he's going to be absolutely fine. He's taken this...
and he just almost oversteadied down to the last fence. It was such a nice ride all the way around, and that 7, if you take a little grab, you know, the horse can stall a little bit, and it just ended up being a little off the last, and the horse put its back legs down. But, I mean, that was just a beautiful round to watch, and the people going after him, you know, they've seen how it's done now. He's 74 seconds. I mean, that's...
He's taken a chunk out of what should be the time allowed. But, I mean, the way he went at that early on, he really got the pace on there early and just made up some ground. But definitely in the first part of the course.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you've got to ride this course, because it's so delicate at the end. But at the same time, you've got to be aware of your own horse. So if you go out and you attack the first part of the course, knowing it's so delicate at the end, you might have control issues. So, you know, some of the horses, you can get away with it. Some horses, you have to go out there and you know you're going to be tight on the time. And then Misty Cassar, this is a horse, by Milo Cartago.
Yeah.
She was great last week in her first 5-star. Misty's a California girl, This horse was ridden before by Harley Brown, another Australian rider. All the scope in the world, this horse.
Yeah, as you say, jumped last week, went for 9 in their first 5-star Grand Prix there. But again, the solid results. They finished top 3 in the Sacramento World Cup in the last few weeks as well on this 11-year-old for Misty. Now, came at the wall a little bit tighter, a little bit on the angle, and just a little correction in that line.
Yeah, she knows she has a huge stride, so she put a bit of a bend in it. She could turn short back to the wall and then put a little curve into the 5 strides, which really worked well for her. It sort of looked like she was thinking time allowed also there. It's not a naturally easy horse to get inside the time allowed because she has to balance a lot with it. And unfortunately that was the fence that I thought would come down a little bit, that back rail. It just rode like a vertical for her.
Again, 4 faults, good score on the board at the moment. Davis Heineken with the best of scores on the 1-time fault at this stage. Time-wise, she's just going to be a little bit over that, and it's going to put her on the 5. But again, good cheer from the crowd, 82.67 for Misty Cassar and Milord Cornet.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be wrapped with that. You know, the horse just came out and jumped a pearler of a round, and she gave it a great ride. And again, she's another one that she's really close. She's not far off jumping a clear round in one of these classes.
Yeah. And again, it's made the difference. You know, the last few weeks they've had that progression of shows here. You've had Vegas World Cup, you've had Sacramento World Cup, you've had the bigger shows coming in here. You've had a good week last week. It gets you on a roll. Absolutely,
and I think actually, if you look at the show program, the West Coast in the fall and sort of November, December is the place to be. You know, they've got such a great run of shows. Now with the addition of the Major League, it's sort of, you know, they've got a consistent run of 3, 4, 5-star shows. You know, and it's great for the sport here.
Absolutely. So at the moment, best of the scores: Erin Davis Heineken on the 1-time fault, Mark Blumen on the 4, Juan Carlos Garcia after that on the 5, and Kerry Potter now, Ariel Lassarienne for Trepalomas, the 12-year-old Westphalian Barrioso de Tile, and for the rider who's also featured for the first times on the teams in the last couple of weeks here as part of Major League Jumping as well. But again, I mean, she's produced some really nice rounds with this horse in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this horse is, I got to see it for the first time in Temecula probably 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And it just, every time it goes in the ring, it just jumps beautiful. And she's such a stylish rider. She's been doing it for a long time, and she knows how to produce horses up to this level. And you watch her ride, and she doesn't get in the way of the horses. She has a great position. She gives them every chance to jump, and they're in great balance. It's just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, has put some nice wins behind her here at the Desert Horse Park previously. Started jumping this one internationally back in 2018. Again, been very much a West Coast-based program. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, just tried really hard over that vertical at B, and I think then when it had to make the big effort for the back rail, it just dragged the back legs at the front. A fault that you wouldn't see that horse make 2 times in a row for sure.
Well, just going to finish on the 4. We're inside the time at 79.18, and here we see it again just on the replay there, just really not much of a touch.
No, it was really unlucky. I mean, that was a beautiful round. And for all the kids out there watching, I mean, this is a rider you have to watch and, you know, try to emulate everything she's doing. You know, this is, when we're watching these classes, you know, this is where we learn the most.
Absolutely. So, just missing out on the 4 there for Kerry. She goes the 3rd best score at this stage. And Lindsay Archer and Japor, who headed over to Michigan earlier on this year, put a nice win together there, and have really been flying on confidence ever since then as well. This is a really solid combination. Again, you know, she doesn't have lots of top horses at this level, but this is one that really is, again, a partnership.
Yeah, this is a horse, I'm not sure how long she's had it for, but they, like you said, they have a great partnership. And she's, you know, she's out here in the desert a lot. The horse knows this ring, and she's going great on confidence. You know, she's a real winner, whether it's in the Grand Prix ring or out in the back in a 6-year-old ring. She lays it down, and, you know, if you want to beat her, you got to go.
Absolutely. Combination that came together back in 2018. French produced before that. But this season, and certainly throughout 2021, been really good indeed from July onwards. I don't think there's been, I think 11th is the worst position they've had in any class, so you take that.
Yeah, and she knows this horse inside out. Like you can see from fence 2 to 3, she turned really short back, and then she could add the stride up to the butterfly oxer and a little stick at the wall there. But now it's starting to get back into confidence. But I think, you know, by making up that time early on, she can sort of now balance the horse up and give it the ride she needs to without worrying about the time, I think.
Just a little touch on the back rail there. As you say, it starts to ride like a vertical. I'm going to put you on the spot a bit. What do you mean by that? Because, I mean, somebody walk up, someone's got a back bar on it.
Well,
right?
it's a little bit of an optical illusion because it's a very square oxer, and because it's narrow, you don't see the back rail until the very last minute. So if you're so unfortunate there at the last fence. It was a beautiful round up until then.
78.83 is the time.
Last fence is a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it is certainly undoing a few so far. So we can see there the Cabana just a run to the last, and it was just a long way to get there.
The 7, she did so much to get back to the vertical before that then the 7, just at the end of the course when you're jumping your 14th fence, you know, you don't have the same energy that you have, and the 7 just got away from the horse. Unfortunately, it was a beautiful round. She's going to be feeling sick about that, but she's going to watch the video back tomorrow and be like, oh, wow, that was a great round and unlucky, but we all beat ourselves up. But I think in the end, she's got to be happy. That was a beautifully ridden round.
Absolutely. Just finishing on the 4 there for Lindsay Archer and Shapur, getting very close to that clear. Erin Davis Heineken produced the one-time full with Leone. As we go on to Eugenio Garza, Victor Finn at DHZ. A horse has been bringing, again, has had a long partnership with, had a little bit of a break during part of the season. He was focused on Olympic Games. He then came here in the last few weeks and has gone really well indeed. He rode the winning rounds last week for AIM United in the team competition as well, but he's been on winning teams for Mexico for Nations Cup before now as well. And again, a nice start. Again, you can see he's efficient in these first few fences.
Yeah, he's making up the time early, and this horse has been on great form out here. Last week on the grass, it was lightning fast in one of the jump-offs, and it's a horse that he knows very well as well. You can see there he turned back short to that wall and could really trust the horse.
Just unfortunately that one going.
Yeah, I think, you know, it jumped that line so nicely, and then it just got down there, and they've got water in the tray there underneath that oxer, and they haven't really seen that out here that much. The water trays at night, they haven't put the water in, so it just peaked a little bit and caught that front rail.
And again, back under the lights, it just creates that little sparkle down there, doesn't it? A little bit of reflection off those lights.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the top rail on that oxer, it's not that much to look at. It's a plain sort of looking fence. So it's hard to get them to focus sometimes. Otherwise, a beautiful round.
Just coming home on the 4, just going to clip that last fence as well on the 4, and plus the other 4. Of course, here's at the Adequan fence. Again, not much of a touch there. 77.87 for Eugenio Garza. This last fence there, Matt, as well, you know, it's causing a lot of problems. It's not necessarily, would I be right in saying, the fence in terms of what the material is, but just how you get into it.
No, I think it's just the line. You know, you've done all this work all the way around the course, and it sets you up for a little bit of a forward 7 strides where you can let the horse open up, and sometimes they'll just think that they're finished. You know, you've worked so hard to get them back over the vertical before. That's 13 jumps. Most of our courses are 13 jumps, so, you know, keeping their focus after that vertical is a hard thing.
Absolutely. Well, on to Katie Laurie now, and Django the second for the Australian rider. Katie on the 10-year-old by Lordano out of Flower Power, which, if memory serves and our conversation goes right, was the same breeding as Delphi, which then went on to ride at the top level at the World Championships, then went on to top flight as well with Kamal Bahamda, a top-class horse, and both out of that mare that was a ride of her father's. Of course, he was a top-class rider as well. So it's got the breeding.
Yeah, I mean, it's always lovely to have a homebred horse that you've had all their life and gotten up to this level, and it jumped fantastic last week in the 5-star. Was clear in the Grand Prix. She had a second place in the 5-star in Calgary, and I mean, this is another combination that's just coming together over these last few months at this level. She sold her Olympic mount, so this horse has stepped up in place of that and looks like it's doing a fantastic job. Katie, there's not many more riders in the world that are as hungry as her. She goes out there, and when she wants to win, you struggle to beat her.
Absolutely. We saw her earlier on in the season in the US, in Michigan, win after win there as well. Now based in Canada. You based there in the last couple of years. Again, another one just clipping that.
Yeah, it got, the 4 strides got short for her. And when you're thinking about that distance being short and such a square oxer, you got to hold them off it. And then the horse just didn't focus on the back rail. Not a fence that you'd normally see this horse have, being such a scopy horse. Yep. But again, another great 5-star performance for a young horse.
Yeah, finishing on the 4 there, 78.26 for Django the second for Katie Laurie. But as you say, it is more about how that fence is riding. You just see it there. They just lean on that back bar there. But how it's riding more than necessarily, there's obviously not much spread on that, but it's how you approach it, how you deal with it. It is Lyubov Koshutova now. Paganini 170. 15 gone of our 37 in total in this class here this evening. And Lyubov with championship credentials as well. And for this one of the younger horses in the field, it is only 8 years of age. Hanoverian for Lyubov. She's produced a lot of very good horses right the way through. Royce that we've seen with Margie Engel as well, amongst others. And she herself has ridden to championship level too. This will be... a big ask for an 8-year-old here, but again, it went well earlier this week.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a horse that, although he's only 8, she's done a few 5-stars already this year. He's just learning about the bigger jumps, and he gets a little tired towards the end of the course sometimes, but he's showing so much ability that, this is surely going to be a great horse for the future. Unfortunate rail there. He just almost fell asleep when she had to slow down for the 4 strides. But again, like on such a young horse, this is a big track.
Yeah, just a brick out of the wall as well to put them on the 8 at the moment. But again, as you've got to have those opportunities to take them, jumps those bigger tracks, see how it goes. You'll probably drop back a little bit as well, build the confidence up again, and then come back at it.
Absolutely, and it's the end of the season now, so, all these horses are either on their last show of the year or maybe one more show again, but, they're going to have a bit of a break now before the season starts up again, and they're going to pick up where they left off, you hope. Jump the triple better than any horse in the class, I think. And then the greenness just showed there. Just a young horse mistake, but this horse, Lyubov's probably produced some of the best horses in the world. She produced Beluda, Reverton, Royce, some of these horses, and they would jump in these classes with her when they were young horses and doing the same sort of thing, like just learning about the big jumps. And I wouldn't be surprised if this one's another star in the future.
Yep. Give it into 2022. We'll see how they go. One that's been an absolute superstar, and even this week, is Kyle King and Magic Mike for Elizabeth Killam for the 12-year-old Dutch-bred horse by Zapatero, and was on top-class form to win the big jump-off class here on day 1. Had a real battle with Sam Walker, and he really made it up over the last couple of fences there. It looked as though it was going to go Sam's way, and then just stolen away by Kyle at the very end. Really good effort.
Yeah, there's no one faster than Kyle. When he wants to go for it, he gets out there and gives it his all. This is a horse that one of the California ladies, Lumpy, she owns this horse together with a few people, and this has been a great horse for him, and she has big plans for Kyle with this horse, and it's great to see him with horses on this level. He's one of the true fighters of the sport. There's not a nicer guy on the show.
Yeah. And for him, as you say, he's produced horses, but this is probably one of the best he's sat on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horse that, it's not everyone's ride. He's had to make it go the way that it goes. It's not a horse you can put into a shape. He rides it how it wants to go, and that's the beauty about Kyle. He's such a horseman, and such a winner and competitive person that he puts in the time and he figures out what each horse needs.
Again, for him, just moving across to the left there and got a bit of a bend in that line too into the double.
Yeah, I think that's with the short 5 strides into the double. It's if you've got one you can trust on the wall, you can spin back short there, put a bit of an angle on, and that 5 strides rides much better then.
That one, and also another one to get the heartbreak at the narrowed up Oxer there, but also first part of the triple combination for them too.
Yeah, really unfortunate. The horse, he won that class on the first day at a full speed, and sometimes that just catches up with you. At the end of the course, I mean, he rode a great round, and it just fell short on that Oxer there. It wasn't a scope issue or anything; it just didn't read it. And then he went to make up the time to the triple, and maybe just turned a little short and didn't get his eye on it. But the season he's had, it's a shame to finish on 8 faults, but I don't think he's going to be upset with his season.
Exactly, you say, overall it's been a good season for them, absolutely. So Magic Mike and Kyle King going out on the 8. Oh, here we go. We're going to have Sam Walker again. The two went up against each other earlier on this week, too, to have a good battle between them. Sam with Emilian van der Hoeven. We'll pick up with him in just a second's time. But the 19-year-old that's had a top-class season as well, just making his way in on the horse from the Evergate team. 14-year-old Belgian bred by Tangelo van der Zoethoven. And, well, what can they produce here? Because they were in, flying form here on Thursday. Here's another opportunity for him. He's won a lot of classes throughout the season as well. Picked up a few of those on the Major League Jumping too with Evita. And now with this ride here this week, a chance to follow on from a good start on day 1. But, I mean, 19 years of age, he rides a little bit older than that, doesn't he? You'd think he'd got a bit more experience under his belt.
Yeah, and, he's gone through the equitation ranks here with Missy Clark, and, he knows how to make up the time. You'll watch his lines and see, he knows where he's got to make this all up. And this horse, it jumps great for him. And I think this course is a great course for this horse. It's almost built for it. Got a lovely 8 there. Now we're just balancing the 4 strides. And you see he straight away moves away from that fence.
And again, land and go after the wall.
Yeah, I mean, he knows his horse. For some riders, that distance was getting short to the double. This horse maybe doesn't have as big a stride. But it's a great thing for this course because everything is a little bit backwards. So he's able to keep moving in these lines. Beautifully done there. Now just balances here nicely.
Time looks good. He should be fine. 81 time allowed.
He's doing the 8 strides there.
There we go.
He's got it. There you go.
Played it very sensibly. 77.58 for Sam Walker. Emilian van der Hoeven, as you say, gave himself a little bit of breathing room at the end.
Yeah, so he got everything where he needed to at the beginning of the course, so he could have the 8 strides to the last fence. And, the 8 strides, if you don't have the bigger stride, I think it's a great option because it puts the horse a little bit more back together and focused that they've got to jump that fence. The 7 strides... If he went on 7 strides, it was going to get a little flat, and he'd made up his time everywhere else, so it was a great ride.
Well, it comes up to the halfway stage in this class. Sam Walker giving us the first of the clears. Emilian van der Hoeven. Erin Davis-Heineken was very close on the 1-time fault there. Second half coming up. Strong group in there. Carl Cook, Amy Miller, Lauren Huff, Niall Nasser, Bliss Hears, Jordan Coyle, Natalie Dean, and Adrian Sterling, McLean Ward, and down towards the end, Rowan Willis as well, all to come on the order. Matt Williams, thank you very much for coming to join us. I know you've got to go and help Rowan very shortly as well, get him prepped up.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, and looking forward to the rest of the class.
Right, thank you very much. Thanks to multiple Olympian Matt Williams, who's going to be based here in California these days as well. Looking forward to seeing him through the next few months. And for all of us, let's see how the rest of this class plays out. We'll be back with that second half of round one in a few minutes. So getting back underway into the second half of this upcoming Grand Prix. And it is Andrew Burns and C Top Blue for the Irishman. And we've already seen just that one clear round, that coming just before the break there. Sam Walker and Hermelian van der Hoekhoven on 77.58 as a time. Got inside that tough time allowed of 81 seconds. But those with a little bit more experience showing that that is achievable. We've had a few of those under. It's been quite close for a couple of others as well. But an interesting first half, and coming up with a very strong second half to this class as well. Andrew, who finished at top 5 in the Grand Prix here last week as well. And Alan Wade, our course designer, here this week. Time allowed of 81 seconds. This Adequan Grand Prix presented by Essence Art. Turn back up to the water tray. And then on this line comes up for the 4 strides. 155 in spread there at the Oxer on the way in. Birch fence also 155. Then coming up to this 160 wall. But they're riding to this bold fence easily enough. And then, as Matt Williams was saying earlier, a little 1 or 2 just finding that distance just starts to get a little bit short, but easily done with this very good combination. They've really come together this year. 10 years of age now by Chaco Blue out of C-Top Lady. And this narrowed up Oxer has caught a few so far. Not so for Andrew, looking to build on last week's good finish. Coming down here at pace time-wise, he's pretty good, but 4 on the scoreboard, and so it is going to be 78.61, so just finishing on the 1 down there for Andrew. And it was just cutting across that second fence there. In fact, Matt and I were saying just before we got into this second round, or second half of the class, that fence 2 was the only one that hadn't gone down up to this point. So unfortunately the 4 there for Andrew Burns and C Top Blue. And Carl Cook, last week in the commentary seat, now back into the saddle. And good to see him out there with Caillou 24, this fabulous combination that won a host of Grand Prix. I think it was 3 Grand Prix in Traverse City this season. They won in Tryon last year. They were up there in the Washington World Cup show as well. They've been World Cup qualifier winners before now for Carl. Still remember his World Cup victory up at Thunderbirds. And for him, it's been another step up this season. Really top-class finishes so far, and this could be one to watch out for, one of the favourites in the field for the Californian. Caillou, owned by Sina Osby, family-owned horse, Holsteiner by Casal. Again, eye on this wall already. Just pushing down there to get there. Then back for this Adequan Oxer, as I said a little bit earlier on. 1 or 2 just having a little look there at the water under the lights. Golden Plank has ridden well so far. One clear on the board at the moment, but coming up with a strong group now. Just turns tight enough into that triple combination. Again, very used to these time alloweds. Picks up over the last, and not unsurprisingly, it is a very good clear from Carl Cook. 78.26. That second fence, and here at the Major League Double. He's in the game once again. So 2 clears at the moment, and that is 1 for Canada with Sam Walker, and Carl Cook of the USA with that Caillou 24. Strong second group coming up. Could see a few more coming out of the pack here. Luis Sabino Gonçalves and Argan de Billiard for the rider from Portugal, also owned by the Sigma Stables. And for Luis, actually normally based in Europe, but in 2021 has been based out here in California. We've seen him at a few of the other shows across the US as well, including, again, up in Traverse City, up in Michigan. But has been a mainstay of the squads for Portugal before now. Now, a good addition here to the scene. European Championships on numerous occasions as well. Started off with a really good run here at the Desert Horse Park back in the early part of 2021. 2018 World Championship rider as well. Grand Prix win together here in the 3-star back in February. Nicely through that line. Again, wasting no time as they're already on the turn from the Adequan fence. You can see here he's trying to get an efficient run back. Course designing team not left much time to waste around this course. Just another one nearly caught. As Matt was saying earlier, it's almost an optical illusion there. You come to that, it looks like a vertical. There's not much spread on it, so you struggle to see the back bar. Tightened up to 130. He's still keeping the clear working there. He's going to be close for time. I think he's going to be a little bit over, unfortunately. And it's 81.87. Just a couple of deliberate moves in there, just taking a little bit of time. And it is the one there at 81.87 for Luis Sabino Gonçalves and Hagen de Belliard. So close. Two of them on the one time, Luis Sabino and Erin Davis Heineken so far of this class. Two on the clear though, Sam Walker and Carl Cook. Clear's looking closer and closer. How many will get out to the pack? Lots of discussion before the class of how many that will be. We will see. General spread was between 4 and 7, but will that be right? Who knows? Alessandro Volpi. Now for the next to the young Californian riders. This is Absolute de Mio. Again, had the opportunity this year being part of the major league teams. Early rail for her, that second fence now falling for a second time. Andrew Burns was also the victim of that one. She's just 21 years of age, silver medalist in Young Riders previously, also still jumping in the Young Rider Championships this year. Had a superb, things didn't work out at the wall. I was about to say had a superb run in the World Cup qualifier at Washington, which was in Tryon, but finished in second place there. But taking exception somewhere down here. Just getting going again, but it's a big fence to come back to. There we go. Attacks it, but just unfortunately has the brick out. Alessandra this season been a very good experience for this young rider, as we were talking about earlier on. Major League giving the opportunity of some horses coming up through, as well as the established 5-star rides, and the same for riders as well. Giving yourself space to come back to this triple combination. Just that one left, but looking at a steady, a more solid finish for them. Unfortunately, just that trouble at the wall for Alessandra and Absolute de Mio. Here in the early part of the course, that was when they were approaching the wall for the second time and just getting back in their stride. So still 2 clears on the lineup at the moment. Amy Miller, Truman. Every chance this combination could show up with a 0 score. They've been top 5 in several of the Grand Prix in recent weeks. Of course, she's been one of the leading riders as well throughout the team competition for Major League as well. Not unsurprisingly, given an Olympic rider for Canada. And for her superb run right the way through the Canadian shows, whether it was part of the team in Spruce Meadows this season or 2 wins in the last few weeks. Well, back into September in home ground on Caledon on the team competitions and finishing 4th in the Grand Prix here last week as well. Truman after that top 5 finish also in the Grand Prix at Angelstone back in August. Still looking on good form again, conscious of the time. Now it tries to steady for this Cabana Coast vertical, which many have handled well so far. Just the last time should be good, and another chance of a top 5. 77.37 is good for time, and gives us the third of those clears to come out. Not unsurprisingly, given the form, it's another one to frank the form of the form book so far. Amy Miller and Truman gives us clear round number 3. So 2 for Canada and 1 for the USA. Sam Walker, Amy Miller for the Canadians, and Carl Cook of the USA with Caillou. Lauren Huff and Kathleen Kamine's 15-year-old Paloma by Canaletto. Lauren looking to quieten her down here. So horse also not so keen on seeing the screens at the end of the arena too. Lauren, Sydney Olympian, first-class horse rider on the Blazing Sevens team, but just trying to quieten things off here at the moment. Really just about trying to get going. Turns away from that end of the arena. But no, not going to happen today, I'm afraid. And so just not wanting to head down there. We talked about the other day, not too keen on seeing the screens around the arena and under the lights here. It's unfortunately an early retirement for Lauren Huff and Paloma this time. This Adequan 5-star Grand Prix. $23,000 class, $230,000 class. So, of the clears so far, 3 of them at the moment, a couple on the one-time faults. Of course, it's the clears we're going to see back. And in the meantime, Caitlin Campbell and Dandy for the HD Horses LLC. Now based here on the West Coast. Now Caitlin Campbell, superb record on the East Coast. Started her career out in Pennsylvania. Again, this year, good opportunity for her. Just unfortunately gets stuck in that line there, gets deep to the vertical. So on an early 4 for them. Also having the Adequan fence. We talked a little bit earlier on about the great thing of this show now giving more opportunities to jump under the lights. Some of those big championships coming under lights as well. Not too many shows where that happens. Here on the West Coast, here at the Desert Horse Park, of course, also in Wellington, Florida. Just cuts down onto that last part of the triple combination. Last fence as well. That takes them to a total of 18. There's going to be time to add in there. 16 for jumping, 2 for time, 86, 81. I say just unfortunately gets stuck underneath that vertical early on at the silver birch fence. And we'll head on out. Now, Nassar been on tremendous form in the last few weeks. Niall riding the Evergate Stables Igor van de Wittemore. 13-year-old by Cooper van der Heffing. Won the 2-star Grand Prix here last week. One more class is this. And won a Grand Prix in Wellington before that. But throughout the season has been also competing over in Europe as part of the Global Champions Tour as well. Part of the Paris Panthers. Also got married during the season too. So it's been a busy year for Niall. And now really building on what's been a top-class season for him as well. Spent a large amount of time through his career as well, competing here on the West Coast. Won several of the million-dollar classes as well on both coasts of the USA. Really is a true all-round world-educated competitor. Gets a nice turn inside there. Just keeping tight up to that early vertical at 3. 4 stride distance, not a lot to play with there, but as we saw with the previous one, can get a little bit tight. Drifts a little on the way out of the double, corrects the line. Niall coming on the back of confidence. Two Grand Prix wins in 2 weeks. Hold the breath and see if they can back this up as well. Rides that line well, as Matt Williams was talking about, riding the 2 verticals, then dealing with the Oxer. Needs to keep coming time-wise, and will get there in the end, 79.26. Not a lot of breathing room there, as you see there how just got a nice shot in. It's tucked into that 3rd fence. And so for them, they add to the clears, not unsurprisingly, given their current form. And gives us the 4th of the clears. Niall Nassar and Igor van de Wittemore for the Evergate Stables produce clear round number 4. Just around 10-11 left to go in the first round of this Adequan Grand Prix, presented by Essence Art Gallery. Bliss Hears. Gone so close in the 5-star Grand Prix this season. Best finish being in Atomi a few weeks ago in Mexico in the Grand Prix there, finishing in top 3. Her best finish in a 5-star Grand Prix. And Dino de Mals. Grand Prix winners in Traverse City in Michigan this year as well for the Bridgeside Farms of Las Vegas, Nevada. The 11-year-old by De Montesemi. Lovely horse to watch and a lovely partnership to watch in action. It's a nice shot down that line. Can just move up to the 8, back to the wall here. 160 wall, but they're keen to get to it. Good pace so far. Last week finishing in 7th place in the Grand Prix, produced another very good clear in round 1. And that just didn't take much either. Again, maybe just not quite seeing that back bar there. It's a little bit of a camouflage effort. But again, it's all part of the test. Just coming on the 4 then. Might be a fraction over the time. And just gonna squeak inside the time, actually. 80.60, time allowed of 81. And just going to be the 4 on the board this time for Bliss Hears and Antidote de Mars. As you can see by the way that pole dropping, wasn't much of a touch, but down they go. Jordan Coyle and Ariso, Upperville Grand Prix winners for the Alan Farm. The 10-year-old biker Sal for Jordan. Again, been clocking up the wins for the Irishman, who's based up in New York. And Jordan, again, been a regular throughout the Major League Jumping this season. Put some nice wins together. Central Cavallo being one of those. Down in Mexico, Monterrey wins the week before that. In fact, the 2-star Grand Prix in San Miguel. A rider capable of producing 5-star form. Little touch at that vertical. Picks up at the triple bar, just a little touch there. Just going to take care at the next. And sets up for this triple combination. Just got to take care for time here. I think he's going to be struggling. He's trying to get them back for the Cabana Coast fence, but all the time they're going backwards. It's costing them time. Last fence is going to be very close. It's going to be okay at 79.87. But 5th of the clears there coming for Jordan Coyle and Riso for the Alan Farm. Delighted crew alongside the arena for that. Nice crowd in watching. And there we go. Clear round number 5 coming out of the pack. It's 1 for Ireland, 2 for Canada, 1 for the USA, 1 for Egypt at this stage. So Natalie Dean, as we head back to the West Coast, but she's certainly been covering the air miles this year. Natalie also finishing well in the World Cups recently here in California, but for her, it's been a global mission this season. Also had a terrific run as being part of the US team in the Nations Cup in Calgary, and here as part of Major League Jumping has been a really solid performer all the way through. Natalie with the Marigold Sport Horses, Cocalina, 10-year-old by Conthagos, out of a Papillon Rouge mare, Carolina. Again, some finding that distance down there for the 4 can get a touch tight, turn back to the wall. Again, a few of these distances, as Matt Williams was talking about a little bit earlier on, just having to wait for those, but balance that up with making your time allowed okay. See, again, she moves on around the turn there. That was another part of the course that riders were looking at a little bit earlier on, of just not to get drifting around there and lose time. Another one falls victim of the back bar. Doesn't always have to be the biggest fence on course that causes the problems. Going to be overall a good round, but just going to finish on the 4-fault 78.19. 4 for Natalie Dean and Kokalina. Here we see them early on in this. Again, they jump it, as Matt was saying earlier, like a vertical. They see that okay, but just chopping onto that back bar. Margie Engel, Royce. Gladewin Partners, 17-year-old by Cafe Olay. Margie, just a truly world-class rider. Won literally all over the globe. We could list her wins, but we'd be here all night. But more concerned, can we add another one here tonight? Royce and Margie, 5-star Grand Prix winners before now. Miami originally the base of Margie. Again, come back there to get to the purple fence. Puts on the power at the wall. Again, a horse that has the power easily enough. Again, nice and economical round that turn. Pushes for the triple. And again has the scope to step the next. Giving herself a bit of space into this triple combination. One fence to go. Just going to be on the edge of that time allowed. Should be okay. 79.75. Yes, they are. And, well, plenty of whooping and hollering. Quite rightly so. One of the crowd favourites, Margie Engel, produces the clear. And negotiates that well. 30 of 37 gone so far. 6 of the clears at the moment. Margie joining the list. So second in for the USA with Carl Cook and now Margie Engel on the order list. 2 for Canada as well with Sam Walker and Emila. Egypt in there with Nal Nassar. Ireland in there with Jordan Coyle at this stage. Kristen van der Veen. Bull runs risen. Brilliant performance here on the day one of last week's show as well for the big jump-off class there to win there. Kristen van der Veen, again, who's won right the way through to 5-star level. Bull runs risen. For bull run jumpers, the 15-year-old Dutch bred by Utopia comes into action here. And with the clears so far, 6 of them at this stage. And going to join me alongside in the commentary box to head through this class is a man who's ridden round it, is Andrew Burns of Ireland. Andrew, very good evening to you.
Good evening. Nice to see you.
And to see you as well. Matt Williams was guiding us around a little bit earlier on. Your turn now. You've ridden round this course.
Yep.
Let's have a walk ride around it with Kristen van der Veen as well. Early few fences here. What are the thoughts here?
So far, so good for Kristen. Really, the first couple of lines are nice and steady. Alan Wade has done a really good job building tonight. He kind of eases you into it a little bit before it gets too intense.
Yeah.
Until you get to the wall here. This is kind of the first difficult line in the whole course, because you got your 5 strides down to the double. Kristen's playing with a lot of scope and a lot of stride here. So where some horses had to ride a little forward down that line, she's almost waiting. Same here.
I mean, and this is a horse that almost, as you say, has that great scope, almost steps over the big
Almost
fences.
steps over them, yeah. Just caught that beautifully there, that line. Now she can turn a little tight because she's got so much stride, you'll see her pace is actually a little slower.
Yeah.
So to stay inside the time allowed, she's to be very efficient. Now she had to wait in that 5 and she'll get a normal 7 to the end.
Again, she's going to run a little bit close to time.
She's gotta go.
Might, no. Ooh, might. Yes, she does.
Oh, she did.
80.80. Just led us down a road there where we thought she might not, and then she did. But it's exactly as you say. Again, that's knowing your horse there, Andrew, from that point of view.
And don't forget, Alan is so practiced at this. He's able to time these courses to perfection. Just that he knows he's always going to knock out 1 or 2 people just purely from the time.
Yeah. Well, and again, you've ridden round here. Now, this is one that doesn't have trouble with time. Ashley Bond
Nope.
and Donatello. 11th place individually at the Olympic Games this year in Tokyo in this Adequan Grand Prix, and presented by the Essence Art Gallery. Now, she's been on top-class form with this horse, won the 5-star Grand Prix in Mexico as well. But again, completely different approach, I would imagine, from our previous.
If you watch, very different type of horse. This is a blood, kind of hot horse. Ashley's main goal is to really keep this horse focused and not let him get a little too carried away. Having said that, Ashley is a fantastic natural rider. She rides a lot from feeling. So she's always going to be more suited to a horse like this rather than a colder horse. She got the 8 strides there, perfect. Nice in the 4. So you'll notice, I'm not sure if the camera angle, but from where we're looking at, Ashley's arc of her jump is very centered over both of those 2 jumps. Even though one is a long distance to a short distance, she just got it really beautifully to where that she gave the horse the best chance to jump the fence. Nice and straight down through the center line. Now, you can see there, she was so quick around that turn, very smooth.
Yeah. I was talking a little bit earlier on about how that, again, an Alan Wade trait, big turn like that, you just got to be careful you don't drift.
Exactly, and you can lose a second, 2 seconds there without even thinking about it. Now, Ashley knows she's pretty good on time, so she actually slowed the horse down a little for the triple combination, which is smart, because it's quite a quiet line. And then it just came back to bite her in the butt a little bit because she slowed down for the verticals, legged out over the oxer, and it made that 5 a little bit flat.
Yeah.
So that 5 walks maybe 1 meter long or 3 feet long.
You just got to keep the pressure on down there.
So you're better off to come out nice and smooth out of the triple combination and just be allowing and then balancing at the end of the 5 strides.
So just getting a little bit more length on your stride down there.
Exactly. So you're not pushing them at that vertical because that's a full 1.60 m, that vertical, and it's light and very delicate.
And it falls on the floor.
It falls. They all fall on the floor.
But it actually hasn't fallen that much in this class, interestingly.
Strangely, if you asked me after walking the course, I would have said it's going to be the bogey fence. Yeah. For sure. And it has not.
And actually, it's been more that the fence that's the rocks with the purple fence, with the narrowed up
Strangely enough. And it's funny you should mention that. For horses to judge, an oxer directly after a triple bar is much more difficult than people think.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Alan has helped us with the lines, the white poles with the lines on it, so you get some sort of a contrast.
Yeah.
But a lot of course builders will only put a vertical after a triple bar because they think that has the horses to get more careful. But in fact, it's more difficult, I believe, to jump an oxer directly after a triple bar.
Okay.
Because the horses, they struggle to judge it a little bit, and they will get either at that front bar or they'll think it's a vertical and land on the back bar.
So he's done a little bit of both, and he's giving you a narrowed up oxer.
A narrowed up oxer, but he has helped us a little with the color of the poles. Yeah. But he certainly has made it more complicated.
He's given with one hand and taken away with the
other.
Not quite Father Christmas.
No, not quite.
We've got an Irishman in there already with Jordan Call and Ariso. Now we've got another Irishman who's been on top class form as well in Connor Swale, who was so close in the Grand Prix here last week as well. Connor with that vital chance to La Roque for himself and Aline Egal, the 12-year-old by de Montesemi, the French-bred ride for Connor. Again, been winning. World number 13 at the moment. Has really climbed up those world rankings as well. And for him, I mean, this is another very good chance. He's put 2 World Cup wins behind him this season as well. And just so close last week.
So close, so close. And he's really on form at the moment. And there's no doubt Connor really excels at this level. Now you see his horse is a little fresh.
Yeah.
Rub that vertical. But I think it could actually be to Connor's advantage because the horse is going to focus now and stay a little more careful for the rest of the round. A little bit of a left drift there coming out of the double. Perfect down that 6 strides. I actually thought that Liverpool would cause more trouble as well.
Yeah.
But it rode very well. You know, the distance is quite nice out of it. You jump out of the double. You just follow the striding a little bit.
And not letting you just get away with that one.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
did you think that was going to cause more trouble than it has?
It's big.
It's big. It's simple as that. Okay, fair enough.
It's a big
I'll take that
oxer
one.
with a Liverpool underneath it, under the lights, going into the corner like that. A green horse will come out of that double and almost take a breath and be
Yeah.
like, whoa. And suddenly there's another. Now, there's the white vertical again. We may have jinxed everybody with that vertical.
We're sorry if we have, but I don't think we have.
Apologies.
It just inside the time at 80.62, finished on the 4 there for Connorswell and Vital Chance Le Roc. But again, in that latter part of the course, was just getting a little exuberant.
Got a little exuberant and almost just started to try a little too hard and got a little anxious. You see there with the buck at the end of it. We're all experiencing that night class. It's a little colder. The horses are coming out fresh.
Yeah.
My horse, Sea-Top Blue, very much does the same thing when he comes out. He gets a little fresh, a little too aggressive. Now, I have to say this evening he settled in beautifully into the round.
Yeah.
But on Thursday evening, he was just a little aggressive and a little bit too strong.
For you, let's just reflect on your round very quickly before we go on to the fabulous, of course, McLean Ward and Casper van Het Hellehoff for the Poden Farms, the 11-year-old by Emerald. Just on the 4 there for you, but again, a really good performance. You were top 5 last week as well.
That horse is really excelling at the moment. He's really, for me, I'm normally producing a horse up to this level, and they have these stages that they get to where they become comfortable. He's really become comfortable at the meter 55, meter 60 level, which I'm happy about.
Okay.
You know, he's on the cusp. He's on the verge of greatness, I would say.
A man who's already at greatness is McLean Ward. So let's take a walk around here with Casper for him as well.
So already he's actually left a stride out, which is very McLean. You know, he's so clinical about these courses. He took a direct line from 1 to 2, left the stride out. He's done about 3 less strides than anybody else in the roll back to 3. So McLean is planning that this horse might get a little close on the time allowed. He's just going to make sure that he doesn't. He's taking away any of the guesswork. He's already considerably tighter back there to the wall, which is smart. 5 strides there to the double. And then he was able to just set that 6 up really nicely, and it rode beautifully for him. So now he's made a lot of the time up. He doesn't have to rush through that turn. He's able to take an efficient line, not put the horse under any pressure, let the horse stay concentrated. He did his 7 strides beautifully there. Got the 4 nice. Little bit of a right drift over that, but that's okay. Now he's taking his time a little on these 2 verticals. And leg out and allow the 5. But again, McLean is just playing with extra scope, extra power with this horse. So he didn't have to push for the 5. He just allowed it.
Yeah.
And then the 7 came beautifully at the end. So in the end, he made it look easy.
And time-wise, as you say, he made up a lot of that early on, gave himself some breathing room there.
Exactly. So now when
when
he comes to this last line now, he can sit pretty and just give the horse the best chance possible to jump it.
But gives me a good chance to talk about game plan there, because as you say, McLean is a big planner, as his our next is going to be Paul O'Shea, and with the Emerald partners, Emerald van Voorhoff. But again, when you walk a course, it's not just going, okay, this is what I'm going to do at that fence. It's then taking the bird's eye view and saying, what's my plan and where?
Yeah, and how does this line affect me 2-3 jumps ahead?
Yeah.
Do I want to come in strong here? Do I want to come in a little slowly? For example, from number 3, the Liverpool, to number 4, the Butterflies. If a lot of people are finding it a little long in the 8 strides, they jump in big over 4, then they're having to pull for the vertical. You'd be much smarter to get up the 8 strides, slow down a little for 4, and then for number 4, and then the 4 strides will get easier.
Paul O'Shea then with the Emerald, and this is by Emerald, and is out of the breeding of Bacardi as well. Paul O'Shea been on terrific form, of course, through the team competitions for Major League Jumping as well, and finished on that top winning team for the Eye Candy squad. But coach, as he's known on the team, is back in singularly, individually, and actually he's been leading individually as well the standings for the whole of the season for the Grand Prix. I think he's pretty well got that tied up as well.
Yeah, Paul has been very consistent. You see, he's turned super tight back there. Paul knows his horse. He knows that he can take a slight risk on the tight turn to number 6 there. And it takes the pressure off your time allowed on the whole rest of the course when you can do something like that. Set the horse up beautifully for the 5 to the 6 strides. He made it look like a jumping exercise at home. Nice over the plank. He stayed a very direct line to the triple bar there, so he didn't have to override the triple bar. Then the 4 strides looks easy. Again, we're talking about two of possibly the most clinical, technically advanced riders in the world, not just here today. So it's a real pleasure to compete against these guys. Oh,
it's gone.
It's gone.
But again, you just saw coming in there, they're just a fraction forward and you're gone.
Yes, it's a very, very light rail, and unfortunately it's modern show jumping. It's good humanely for the horses, but it's very unforgiving. So, Paul set that up beautifully. The horse may have got slightly complacent just by the ease that Paul made it for him.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think if you run them up and make it a little more difficult on the horses, they stay a little more focused and might try a little bit harder on it. But at the end of the day, just a cheap rail.
And for Adrian Sterling now, staying with the top-class riders, and of course was part of that team that won gold at the World Championships. Benny's legacy has been a multiple World Cup winning horse as well for the Starlight Farms, of course, our home base in Greenwich, Connecticut, the 13-year-old by Lou Picor. You mentioned modern show jumping in there. I'm going to throw it back and say, what about old-fashioned show jumping? That wall. I mean, you all come down to it and you go, oh, that's fine. I mean, I walk up to that and go, that's the side of a house.
Yeah.
And yet you go, great, I can get to that, turn up close to that, and off we go.
It's funny, we've bred these horses to be so brave and careful nowadays.
Yeah.
And don't kid yourself. We've schooled this wall.
Yeah,
We've schooled this wall at home, every different way you can ride to it. So this is not the first time these horses have seen the wall.
Yeah.
But like a water issue, some horses have a wall issue. So you have to know your horse, that's for sure.
And walls these days, it seems to be you either jump it well or you don't go within 10 feet.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even get near it. So Benny actually used to belong to my parents.
Absolutely.
And we sold it to Adrian. And he was ridden to great success in Europe by Jenny Rankin. And I have to say, we always loved Benny, and we always knew he was going to go on to great things.
Yeah.
But just the pairing with Adrian was a dream come true for us. As at the end of the day, as horse producers, I don't think if we searched for 20 years could we have found a more suitable rider for Benny. And he's excelled. He really has. He's done even more than he could have in our wildest dreams. So it's very rewarding as a horse people to see a horse come on and do so good.
And now seeing how Adrian is tackling this, of course she trains with McLean Ward as well, about, again, getting back to the clinical examination of this course.
Yeah, and it's just the analysis, the intelligence to which they approach these courses. There is nothing left. Let's see how she gets this. 5, good. And there's nothing left to risk. Every eventuality is trained for. She's just has such a partnership with this horse right now. And don't kid yourself. He is not a simple horse to ride. He's not the kind of horse you're just going to get up and meld with right away. He has to know his rider. He has to trust the people around him. He has fantastic grooms taking care of him.
Yeah.
Sean does the most incredible job, and Emma. I mean, they're two of the best in the business. So there's a whole team. There's an entire structure behind Adrian. None of this happens by accident.
Absolutely, and it's about putting a great team around you. That's where you lift up to be at the top. And last at the top of the order is Roan Willis, going to be our last out with Peter Moore's Billy Gilder. Now, Billy Gilder by Billy Congo, which was a European gold medal winning horse, stallion, ridden by William Funnell, who bred this horse as well, and out of Dollar Bay. Big horse.
Big horse. Has his own way of doing it.
Yeah.
We'll see that in a minute. But
Rowan seems to thrive on those.
He
if
does.
you've watched Blue Movie and any of the others, he thrives on horses that he melds himself to as well.
He does. And again, we're going back to a very natural rider here. Rides just the most enormous amount of feel and natural ability, and just able to get that little extra bit out of the horses. There's really no one better than him. And Blue Movie is a perfect example. It's a horse that, I mean, it's not for the faint of heart to even attempt to ride her. So now that's something we didn't see that often tonight, and it's something we're not having it tonight. But the lights are glaring in that water a little bit. You're turning away from the in gate. If you're going for your time allowed, you're going to turn quite tight. I genuinely thought I would see a lot more trouble with it. Yeah. But it actually hasn't caused that much trouble.
Well, and again, for this pairing, a little bit, not so much on Rowan's part, but a little bit of an experience on the horse's part.
Absolutely.
Because it hasn't ridden under the lights really before now. No. And for them, I mean, jumped to the Grand Prix, the 2-star Grand Prix last week, coming into, I think that's their first 5-star Grand Prix as well. For them, actually did jump one back in Monterey, but you know, very little experience between the two, and again, that can just translate there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, when you walk the course, it did occur to me a little bit that some of the horses, not the horse I was riding, so I put it out of my head right away. But you could set the jumps on fire, and my guy would still go down and jump them, so that's never going to be an issue. But I thought it would cause more trouble, and it didn't. I would say this is a classic Alan Wade course where, like, honestly, if you and I to sit down and really say where was the bogey fence, it's very difficult to say.
It is. I mean, again, you can say, okay, the narrowed boxer caused a few, but again, it was spread all around. But that's the sign of a top-class course designer, which he is. And as always, you'll walk his courses and you'll go, okay, that's nice enough. But he'll catch you because as much as we talk about the thought that the likes of McLean Ward put into riding it, he puts the same thought into building it.
Same amount.
You realise where the traps are.
You do, and the problem for me is a lot of times I don't see them until it's too late. I come out and I'm like, well, why didn't I see that initially? So, for me as a rider who's more recently just competing at this level, it's very good because every time I come out, I'm trying to learn from it.
Brilliant. Andrew, thank you. We're going to run to commercials. We're going to be back in a few minutes' time for the jump-off of this Adequan Grand Prix. Just flick it down.
When every second counts, the surface matters. Premier Equestrian features Pro-Tex footing product and Auto Sport base mats. Mats absorb up to 40% of the concussion. Pro-Tex provides maximum stability. Premier Equestrian is the official footing partner of Major League Show Jumping. Contact us about your arena at premierequestrian.com.
Caliday is the official outfitter of the Major League Show Jumping Series. Apparel providers to many of the top riders in the world as they compete for over $7 million in prize money. A series that takes place over 10 events at North America's premier show jumping venues. Caliday provides top quality products that give a modern take on the storied equestrian lifestyle. If you're attending events, come and visit us at each of the destinations where you can shop the entire Major League Show Jumping official clothing collection or visit our website for more information.
To the Desert International Horse Park. I'm Steve. I've met many of you. I wanted to borrow 2 minutes of your time tonight for something that's very important to me. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. It's hard to believe it's thermal. And we've worked really hard for this moment and for these 2 weeks. The one thing I've learned, well, I've learned a lot in the last 2 years about why I did this dumb idea. But I learned it takes an amazing team to do what we've done in the last 2 weeks and what we've done in the last 2 years. Some of this team you see every day out at the horse park. You know, Ashley, who runs our office, and Skylar, who does stalls, and Phil and Pat, who run our show, and all the people who are part of the horse show that you see. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of people who you don't know who make a really big difference. We have an amazing footing guy in Kyle, and Conrado, who runs the ring crew, and Ray, who runs our feed yard, and Leonard, who fixes everything that goes wrong, and Danny, who's amazing at construction. But there's one person who has been with me from the beginning and stood by my side every single day in 125 degrees and made this place what it is. On March 20th, when everyone left in the show, we started construction, and we stopped a couple weeks ago so that we could have this show. And the one person who learned what I really wanted this place to be and who did all of the construction that happened here that you see everywhere you go is my right-hand man, Joe. And so I wanted to I wanted to take a moment tonight to just thank him. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give him a trip so that he can finally leave here for a day and go away, and I'm going to make him leave because he hasn't left since March 20th. And second, we did a little plaque for him, and it reads, "With enormous appreciation for your passion, dedication, hard work, and fine craftsmanship in helping make Desert International Horse Park what it has become. You're a true partner in every sense." From all of us at Desert International Horse Park. So,
let's give it to him, Steve, and let's wrap it up. That's great.
I am.
That's good.
Anyway, we're looking forward to a great work-off, and when you see Joe around the park, just give him a big hand. Thanks.
First horse is coming. Everybody, you guys go that way. I got to take the mic. We're all good.
Well, so to go into the jump-off of this Adequan Grand Prix presented by Essence Art Gallery. Going to see a very good field of 9 going into this jump-off, and starting off with that young Canadian, the 19-year-old Sam Walker, Hermelian van der Hoekhuiver for the Evergate Stables. To start things off with this 14-year-old by Tangelo van der Zoethoven. Alongside me is Andrew Burns, who also was riding around this course earlier. Finished top 5 last week at the Grand Prix. Andrew, let's talk course 1, 2, 3. To start us off. 1,
2, 3. I suspect they're going to leave a stride out from 1 to 2. So you're going to see 8 strides direct from 1 to 2. Gets you off to a nice start. Roll back left. You can count a number from 2 back to 3. It'll be 8 or 9 strides if you're really moving.
Caladay fence there that's just in the background is going to be your next on course at fence 15 and 16.
Yeah, 15 and then 16 is the gold and blue fence.
Yeah. Desert Horse Park fence, then back up the line of the Major League double and the Adequan fence to finish. But the easy way is to go around with Sam Walker. Now, let's see if he follows your plan here, Andrew. Whoa!
Oh.
It didn't work.
So,
unfortunately.
I'm guessing Sam thought that would happen a little easier.
Unfortunately, that boxer was dislodged.
We all saw McLean do it in the first round. And he made it look easy, but don't forget McLean has a much bigger, rangier horse than Sam. Now, Sam's horse was fantastic in the first round, and he really, really, really did give it a good ride.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's first in. It's always a little bit difficult.
I guess say you get to be trailblazer, but also, you know, that has its pluses and minuses, and as you say, you go for a distance or something you think might be there.
Yeah, Sam Walker.
And I think
if you'd been a couple later, you might have said, "Oh, actually, back off that."
I think he thought that if he just went direct, it would happen a little easier, and it just didn't. It didn't get there for him, and then the horse just wasn't ready for it.
Well, that's a shame. Tough start for Sam Walker, Hermelian van der Hoekhuiver, and leaves us 8 left to take a spin around here. Carl Cook. Caillou 24, multiple Grand Prix winning combination, can be very fast indeed. Now, you've seen this 14-year-old in action before now, plenty of times for the Californian rider.
Mm-hmm. Having said that, you know, he's going to have a good plan. He'll know exactly what he's doing around this course. He'll have a good plan made, and he's definitely going to put the pressure on the other guys for sure. So we start 1. So he just did the leave out there. The horse almost got a little green as well on that.
Yeah.
Did the 8 strides in the rollback. 8, 9. He did 9 strides there.
Back here to the Desert Horse Park fence, another new one on course.
So I think he could have left one out in the line before that.
Ooh.
A little bit green there, but the horse stayed careful for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes to catch up with him.
Yeah, and just as he was turning through that turn, and to be honest, you could see it almost a little over number 2 as well. The horse looked down into the fence. He got a little awkward in the air. Roll back.
24, Amy Miller, Truman for the Middlebrook Farm and Overland, 12-year-old by Milord Cartago for the Canadian. Again, been in terrific form, top 5 in several Grand Prix this season as well for the 2016 Olympian. She's watched those two, or do you not watch those two? What does it do for you?
Probably better off not watching how they went. Again, you have to ride your own horse, and it's something I struggle with too as a rider. You can make some judgments on the course, but at the end of the day, each one of these horses is an individual. So you need to ride your own horse for how you think your horse is going to react.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt nobody saw what's going to happen to Sam Walker, and I don't think Carl really expected his horse to get green. Now, already she's starting a little slower. Now she got the 8 easy up there. So it walks like it should be easy enough.
Just try to cut in there.
Yeah, exactly. And that sets you up because that's a big airy vertical.
Yeah.
You want to turn tight back to it, and you have to get round to the left straight away after to get that leave out there. She just went in the 9 strides then across to number 15. More experienced horse here. He found that double quite easily. And then the 6th to the end. We might see a couple of horses knock that last fence. Just purely, they come off their line a little bit on the double. They land a little out to the left, and then they have to straighten up and come back in. And if the rider's not sharp enough to catch that, you might see some people have an issue with it.
Okay, so best score so far on the 4, 39.62 from Amy Miller. The door is still open. Not so easy so far. Again, being the early ones, you're trying to find those little routes because you know you've got a strong group coming behind you. So sometimes, as we know, that doesn't play to your advantage. Sometimes if it works, it does.
Sometimes it works. More so in the first round and than in the jump off.
Yeah.
You cannot be complacent when you have riders like this. And don't forget, this is, for all intents and purposes, a -60 track. So it's going to be unforgiving. It's careful. The material is very light, so you have to be accurate. You can't be too flippant about it.
No, that's and Igor van der Viddermoor for the Evergate Stables.
So now I'll set up that 8 strides perfectly. Just he set it right up from the beginning. Got the line there.
That's what Amy wanted, wasn't it?
There, you got the 8 strides there. Perfect. So that's what I walked when I walked the course. Now, it's definitely the more aggressive line, but it's basically the double leave out to a single leave out across the middle. And, you know, this is the problem when you're dealing with jumps this big. So, yeah, he definitely took the more faster, aggressive line through the middle of the arena, and he got away with it. But it made him a little flat and a little strong then when he came around to the double.
But all the time you were seeing there, as you say, he was extending out, gets back to the double, but just you're getting that lengthening out, you're getting the speed coming into it.
Absolutely.
And that second part, especially the double, the vertical, is going to act as a little bit of a road bump there.
Yep. And it's rare that you would find a line like that at the end of a jump off, particularly at this level.
Yeah.
Because it basically means you have to slow down. Yeah. Usually what they'll do is they'll put the line of the double at the start of the jump off. You can go a little steadier, jump it, and then go.
We're sort of in reverse here. Your early ones are letting you having a run at it.
Again, it's Alan Way just playing little tricks on you. So he wants you to leave the strides out coming through the middle of the arena, which Niall did beautifully. And now you have to reel them back in again and be careful for the last line. And it's difficult. It's adding a layer of difficulty.
Jordan Coyle, Ariso for Islands and the Alan Farm. Still looking for that first of the clears. 4 faults, Niall Nasser in the lead at the moment, 34.77. Now he's running.
So he's basically done 8 strides between every fence so far. Got the 9 now. Now he got it perfectly because he could almost slow down for that oxer, get a tighter turn. Now he's got to hit the brakes once he jumps in here. Sit up. Good.
Got there. Well, now he's trying to hit the brakes. Now the elbows are going.
Sorry,
now it's all going. 34.49, and it's the quickest so far, and it's clear.
Pure determination there.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody could have done the 5 strides to the last fence, it was him. But he was too smart. He wasn't going to risk that. Because
And
you can see
he's
there.
got the hackamore bit on there. It's a little bit harder to get the control, isn't it?
He doesn't have a lot of control over that horse. But one thing that horse does, once the jumps gets in his way, he means to clear them. But you can see how much he would have struggled to get around that course. He still hasn't pulled the horse out.
Now he has.
Now he's got it. Now he's got it. But, you know, just very, very well executed by Jordan. He set up his lines nicely. He did the 8 through the middle, and then it was a 9 strides to the Desert Horse Park jump. He was able to slow down at the end of the 9. The horse jumped, got in a little deep, went up and down, and then got around.
Marge Engel and Royce could well cruise into top gear here on this 17-year-old now. She's watched a few now. She's got the advantage of doing that. She can take a run at this. And this early part of the course may well suit her as well.
Absolutely. It's a horse that's very accustomed to leaving strides out and just flying forward. And Margie is no stranger to jump off. So she did 9 there. She's just playing slightly more careful. And she left one out there fabulous. So now she's on it a little bit. She could be the same, roughly the same time as Jordan.
Whoa, get in there, get going now.
Just a little deep there on that one.
Elbows go to the last. Time-wise, was going to be a little bit behind that, 37.41. Finishing on the 4 there for Marge Engel and Royce. Gave it a good go.
Fantastic.
Flew over the Desert Horse Park fence. But again, coming back into this double, you could just, we're sitting behind them, but you can see they're in trouble.
From our angle, you could see he was just a little bit deep. The horse tried really hard to get her out of that double. I have to say he did a good job. She either needed to leave that stride out through the turn and keep coming, which is risky, or take a check a little sooner. But this is a big jump off for a lot of money, so a rider of Margie's experience is not going to do that. She's going to keep going.
Keep chasing the check.
Yeah.
So it is Jordan Coyle leading the way at the moment, 34.49. Still who we got coming up. Few very good combinations still to come into this. Kristen van der Veen, McLean Ward, Adrian Sternlicht still to come on the order.
Okay, this course is built for
I was just about to say.
For sure, the first part of the course, Kristen's going to laugh. She's just going to cruise around. What will be interesting is to see how she handles that last line. Like we said, Alan's really played a trick by putting a big, scopy, more technical line at the end of the jump off.
Yeah.
So you can't be too complacent, but she's going to try and make up the time earlier in the course. So already she's done 7 from the first to the second.
Without even looking like she's doing anything.
And there, easy. She got the 8 perfectly there. Yeah, so already.
She was trying to take a little bit of the pace off, wasn't she?
Well, like I said, what happened to Jordan, he got to the end of it, and he was actually slowing down for that blue oxer, which is a little what you want to do. I know Kristen wanted to do the same thing, but the horse just fought her on it a little bit too much. I think tactically her plan was good. In the end, the horse just hollowed out a little bit. And then it's a difficult jump off course because you're introducing that level of technicality at the end of the course with 2 big wide oxers and 1 very, very tall vertical. It certainly adds another layer of difficulty.
Well, finishing on the 8 there, and it is still Jordan Coyle leading the way on the only clear. 2 for the USA left to come. McLean Ward and Adrian Sternlicht to go in here. McLean with Casper Van Heerlehoff for the twice Olympic gold medalist, of course, adding Team Silver again to his long list of accolades this year. But here it would be a nice way for him to finish off here in the Horse Park. What's he going to do? He's tested some of this already.
I think so, and so he knows he can do the 8, so he might even do the 7 from 1 to 2. I'm not sure. I think he will stick to the same numbers as everyone else through the middle. He's going to be very tight after number 2. So he's stuck with his first round plan. So he's a little slower there, actually. He added a stride there, but I know the horse had a little bit of difficulty turning left last week, so McLean's going to be a bit conscious of that. And he's already a little slower through the middle there. Now, he's a lot to make up. I think he's going for a nice clear round here. He's going after the check rather than blowing the horse's brain. Again, you see that blind turn gets you in underneath A of that line. So McLean very much set the horse up beautifully to jump that last line. He certainly played it safe.
But again, played it sensibly, as you say.
Played it
Had
sensibly.
some issues last week, tough week last week, but for them, that was the right round for them at the right time.
I think so, and he's still going to get a very, very good check from that. And maybe he made the decision the horse wasn't going to be as fast as Jordan. So, you know, a distant second is better than a close second in that case.
And a second spot is definitely better than, as you say, you know, anything
than
else
at
comes
the
in
end, risking having 2 or 3 down, which a lot of other people have done.
Adrian Sterling last to go then. Benny's Legacy for the Starlight Farms as the last to take a run at this. You know the horse. They've got plenty of pace.
Yeah, it's well within their capability. They're experienced enough now to handle this last line. I think, like with everyone else, the first 4 or 5 jumps, she's definitely going to have Jordan because this horse is a little faster, turns faster. Where it'll be interesting to see is how she handles that last line. If she can keep the pace down it as well, just to stay competitive and keep the horse clear. So already she's on the double leave out from 1 to 2. So I think it's safe to say that Adrian's going for the win today. Super. And she actually did 7 there, not 8. So yeah. So technically she could stop and have a cigarette break now and still be able to beat his time. So just steady a little. Beautiful.
Got it now, just the last. 34.49
no.
beats 34.55. She had it. No, she didn't quite have it actually. 34.55 was a touch slower. 34.49 from Jordan Coyle, and well, that last fence
Jordan
there
was deceivingly fast.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for me, Adrian fell foul on what I thought might happen.
Yeah.
The worst. She set that double up beautifully. Got a little bit underneath A. Got a nice up-down jump. Steadied him for B. And then the horse almost took a breath, lost his came off his line a little bit. Yeah. And then she had to leg him to the last fence, which is not really what she wanted to do. She wanted to come there balancing to the last fence.
Well, it's an Irish win. Jordan Coyle and Ariso would take the win. It is McLean Ward and Adrian Sterling in second and third. Now Nasser claims another good finish, finishing in 4th spot there on a quick round, but just on the 1 down 2. Margie Engel in 5th, top 5 for her with Royce. Amy Miller in 6th in the end with Truman. 7th place to Carl Cook. 8th to Christian Van der Veen. 9th to Sam Walker. And the best of those from round 1, Luis Sabino Gonzalez. That is the lineup. Top 10 for this Adequan Grand Prix. The 5-star here from the Desert Horse Park. We've got a presentation, concert, all sorts on the way. Andrew, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Safe trip home. We'll see you in Florida. Good luck for the rest of the year. Enjoy the rest of the year. Hopefully a little bit of relaxation back at home.
Back to Wellington.
Back to Wellington for you. From all of us that have you joined us here in California, thank you for that. We will see you very soon. We're going to head over to a few of our sponsors. Thank you to them throughout, and we'll hand you over for a presentation.
Calladay is the official outfitter of the Major League Show Jumping Series. Apparel providers to many of the top riders in the world as they compete for over $7 million in prize money. A series that takes place over 10 events at North America's premier show jumping venues. Calladay provides top quality products that give a modern take on the storied equestrian lifestyle. If you're attending events, come and visit us at each of the destinations where you can shop the entire Major League Show Jumping official clothing collection, or visit our website for more information.
When every second counts, the surface matters. Premier Equestrian features Pro-Tex footing product and Auto Sport base mats. Mats absorb up to 40% of the concussion. Pro-Tex provides maximum stability. Premier Equestrian is the official footing partner of Major League Show Jumping. Contact us about your arena at premierequestrian.com.
making their way up to the podium positions. Again, presenters here on behalf of Adequan, as well as Essence Gallery and the Desert International Horse Park, all on board to present here this evening. And riders making their way up behind the podium positions there. We will present to the third, the second, and our first place finishers. At this time, Pat Boyle, of course, on behalf of the event here and the Desert International Horse Park also assisting with these presentations. And we'll start things off now with our third place finisher. Steve Hankin, of course, on behalf of Desert International Horse Park, and Kean White on behalf of Major League Show Jumping. Stepping up onto that podium will be Adrian Sternlicht, as you saw her in the last attempt over that course with Benny's Legacy for Starlight Farms. Give her a hand, if you would, for that third place honor. Salute to a rider who, again, put it all out there on the way to that finish line, had the last fence down there in a very close time of 34:55 for that third place result. Earning our second prize tonight, of course, another world-class U.S. rider at number 12 in the world here this evening, McLean Ward. He'll be stepping up with his 41:02 effort and, of course, earned the runner-up placing with Casper Van Het Hellehoff. Nicely done as well with a clean score over the course. And, of course, a very challenging route it was here tonight. But the best finish of all and the pinnacle podium position, of course, held by Irish rider Jordan Coyle as he posted his 34.49 time aboard Irish Riso for Elan Farm, and that means he will clinch the winner's share of our $230,000 in this 5-star meter 55 Grand Prix. Again, Adequan, our sponsor, presented by Essence Art Gallery. Representatives of all of the above here congratulating Jordan Coyle on that victory. Get a photograph of our three top finishers here in this feature event for, again, our Saturday night performance under the lights. 5-star Grand Prix action starting off with those 35 contestants. And, of course, we narrowed that field down to 9 who would get into the jump-off round. Just a couple of them double clear. And, of course, they are Jordan Coyle and McLean Ward with Adrian Sternlicht holding up that third position. One more presentation to make here, ladies and gentlemen. We've told you about the fact that this is the last event of the series for 2021. What a great series it has been. Again, Kean White and Matt Morrissey coming up with the concept of the Major League Show Jumping Tour, and along with the team events, high-level Grand Prix competitions have also been on the main stage. And throughout the course of the season, the most points were earned by another Irish rider, Paul O'Shea, who deserves that congratulations now on being the Series 5-star champion. So if you would as well, give him a nice round of applause. As he picks up the trophy based on his performance throughout the 2021 tour, of course, he will, be proud to hear the anthem that's coming up next, as we'll ask these riders to turn about face to the flag of Ireland as it will appear, and we'll, of course, ask all of you to rise and remove cover to honor that winning nation. Jordan Coyle taking the top honors here for Ireland. What a great night. In fact, what a great season of performances on all of the 10 stops of the Major League Show Jumping Tour. And to celebrate all of that fun and all of that top-level competition, as you would maybe expect, we are going to be giving them an opportunity for some much-needed refreshment and maybe to cool off a little bit. Under normal circumstances here in the desert, you may need a little bit of a cooling mist, and they're going to get it right now with the champagne shower, celebrating again the Grand Prix finish. Jordan Coyle at the top of the list, McLean Ward in second, Adrian Sternlicht finishing up in that third position here tonight. So it's Ireland 1, USA 2 and 3, and maybe they're a little bit more shy with the champagne tonight as they would normally be, trying to maintain that body temperature. But certainly they deserve a quick beverage here to celebrate the win. Jordan Coyle is, of course, also going to mount back up on his winning Mount Ariso to lead that victory lap in just a moment. A chance to get the blood pumping again here one final time on the Under the Lights night here Saturday for our Major League Show Jumping Grand Prix. And of course it is Jordan Coyle who will lead the way there with Ariso in our $230,000 five-star feature event. And let's hear it for him as he'll celebrate that win, leading the way, topping the list in that 34-49 time for the Grand Prix victory. One more time around there for Jordan Coyle as McLean Ward and Adrian Sternlicht follow up in second and third. And while Jordan is taking that independent round of honor, a reminder to you, Gavin DeGraw, our feature performer of the night. You may have heard the sound checks earlier on, and hopefully you're getting excited for the after activity here. A fantastic party filled with great music and great fun, and we'll invite everyone to attend there in just a few minutes. Of course, these three riders making their way over to the press conference to talk all about their experience here in our Major League Show Jumping events as we wrap things up. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see all of you over at the concert coming up. Gavin DeGraw performing there on the stage in just a few minutes. We thank you for being with us, and keep in mind as well, we will have one more day of competition here at the Desert International Horse Park for our holiday series. Back underway tomorrow morning with both the jumper and hunter events. And, of course, the crowning event of the two-star series will be that Grand Prix happening late morning tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So we'll see all of you then. But, of course, we'll also see you hopefully here tonight in just a few minutes over at the main stage there with Gavin DeGraw just about to perform.